Part 2. Consonants. In the previous chapter, we studied the vowels of Standard American English. In this chapter, we learn the pronunciation of consonants. While there are disagreements on the number of vowels, linguists are unanimous on the number of consonants of American English, 24 consonant phonemes. We present these sounds followed by the vowel ah for clarity. Pa, ta, ka, fa, tha, sa, sha, cha, ha, ba, da, ga, va, tha, za, ja, ja, ma, na, ra, la, wa, ya. To study the sounds of these consonants effectively, we need some system. By definition, consonants are sounds that are produced by some obstruction in the vocal tract. Due to the obstruction, there is some blockage in the airflow. Linguists use the obstruction as the key to classify consonants. The obstruction of airflow can be studied in light of where it happens and how it happens. Based on these two aspects, linguists classify consonants in light of the place of articulation and the manner of articulation. In addition to these two aspects, consonants can also be classified into voiced consonants and unvoiced consonants, depending on whether there is a vibration of the vocal fold. Vocal tract. As you can see, to learn how to pronounce consonants, we first need to be familiar with the physical aspect of the vocal tract. So let's quickly survey the physics of sound making. Sound production begins in the lungs. When we speak, our lungs push air up past the vocal cords. The vocal cords are two small membranes in the throat. The vocal cords affect the loudness and pitch of the sounds. The muscle around the vocal cords is called the glottis. The sound that comes from the glottis is the deepest possible sound, which we can find in the voice track of a movie trailer.
In the city, you must fight to survive.
Above the vocal cords are several parts that move in various ways to change the size and shape of the mouth. To pronounce consonants, we need to use some part of the mouth, specifically lips, teeth, tooth ridge, meaning the alveolar ridge, hard palate, soft palate, also called the velum, and tongue. The tongue. When we pronounce vowels, the place of the tongue is important. So is it for the pronunciation of consonants. In fact, the tongue is even more involved with consonant pronunciation. The parts of the tongue that are used for the consonant sound production are the tip of the tongue, the blade of the tongue, the back of the tongue, the body of the tongue, and the side of the tongue. The back of the tongue lies under the soft palate when the tongue is at rest. The front lies under the hard palate, and the tip and the blade lie under the alveolar ridge. The IPA chart for English consonants. When we describe how to produce consonant sounds, we need to mention the three aspects: manner, place, and voicing. The IPA chart for consonants is based on these three criteria. The places of articulation are listed along the top as columns. The leftmost column of the consonant chart is at the front of the mouth, the lips, and then the columns move rightward systematically following the originating location of the sound. The rightmost column is the glottis. The manners of articulation are placed on the rows. Roughly speaking, the rows are arranged from the most amount of mouth closure to the least amount of mouth closure, from stops to glides, also called semivowels. Most obstruent consonants, which are sounds that are produced with some obstruction of airflow momentarily or continuously, are paired as voiceless and voiced. Glottal consonants are the only ones without a voiced counterpart among obstruents. The following IPA chart for English consonants reflects this categorization scheme. We aim to examine each sound in detail. But prior to that, we should survey the IPA chart for an overview. Place of articulation. The place of articulation means where the sound is made in the vocal tract. With vowels, pinpointing where the sound originates can be done only in a proximal way, since the tongue does not touch any part of the vocal tract when a vowel sound is made. With consonants, however, we can be more precise, since the tongue has to touch some part of the mouth in most cases. To pronounce consonants, we need to use some part of the mouth, that is, the lips, the teeth, the alveolar ridge, the hard palate, the velum, or the tongue. In the order of advancement from front to back, consonants can be classified as follows: bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, palatal, velar, and glottal. We learned what consonants occur in these places respectively. Bilabial. Bilabial consonants refer to consonants that are produced using both lips. Bilabial means two lips. Bilabial consonants are pa, ba, ma, and wa. To pronounce pa, ba, and ma, the lower and upper lips have to touch each other. For pa and ba, there is a stop and pop. For ma, air is redirected to the nose. Wa is also viewed as a bilabial, since to pronounce wa, we need to put the lips together and protrude them. Labiodental. Labiodental consonants are consonants that are produced by the bottom lip and the top teeth. Labiodental means lip and teeth. Fa and va are labiodentals. For these consonants, the bottom lip and the upper teeth have to touch, as friction has to be made. Interdental. The interdental consonants are th and the. The tip of the tongue touches the upper teeth and protrudes between the teeth to produce the and th. They are fricatives. Alveolar. Alveolar consonants are consonants that are produced by the tip of the tongue approaching or touching the alveolar ridge, which is located immediately behind the upper teeth. Alveolar consonants are ta, da, sa, za, la, and na. The English stops ta, da, and na are performed by completely blocking the airflow at this place of articulation. For ta and da, the air is popped. For na, the air comes through the nose. The fricatives sa and za are also produced at this place of articulation. The tip of the tongue is at the alveolar ridge, but it does not touch the ridge. Air escapes from this narrow space. The liquid la is also an alveolar consonant. The tip of the tongue touches the ridge, but the sides of the tongue do not touch anything, so air flows out around the sides of the tongue. Palatal. Palatal consonants are consonants that are produced by the body of the tongue approaching or touching the hard palate. The hard palate is the hard part at the top of the mouth, beginning just behind the alveolar ridge. It is also called the roof of the mouth. Palatal consonants are sha, ja, cha, ja, ra, and ya. For the fricatives sha and ja, the sides of the tongue touch the upper teeth to make a channel with the body of the tongue. Air flows through a narrow channel formed along the middle of the tongue. For the affricates cha and ja, the center of the blade briefly touches the hard palate. For ra, the tongue tip is curled up toward the palatal area. For ya, the middle of the tongue is raised towards the roof of the mouth. Velar. Velar consonants are consonants that are produced by the body of the tongue touching the soft palate, also known as the velum. The soft palate is the softer part of the roof of the mouth, farther back than the hard palate. If we touch the roof of the mouth with the tongue and then keep moving the tongue farther back, we can find that softer area. The back of the tongue touches the soft palate when we say the sounds ka, ga, and ung. For ka, ga, there is a stop, and for ung, the air is directed to the nose. W is also viewed as a velar sound, since in addition to lips, the sound originates from the velum area. Glottal. Glottal consonants are produced in the glottis, which is the opening in the vocal folds. English has two glottal sounds, ha and the glottal stop. In ha, the glottal opening is narrow enough to create some turbulence in the airstream flowing past the vocal folds. For this reason, ha is classified as a glottal fricative. The glottal stop, on the other hand, is produced by completely obstructing airflow in the vocal tract. Knowing precisely where sound occurs is very important to pronounce individual consonant sounds correctly. Knowing the location of these consonants also helps us understand how sounds change in rapid conversation situations. In these situations, sounds are greatly affected by neighboring sounds, but these changes are systematic. This systematic change of sounds due to the actual speech environment is studied under connected speech.